I think it's funny that people get schooled by some homeless, disabled citizen sometimes. I can tell them things about their own psyche that they don't even realize about their addictions and the way that they, their habits and mannerisms and the way that they interact with people. That's why I continually shove people away because I don't want to get involved personally. So when people invite me to do things, or if I'm ever given the opportunities, I try to take those opportunities to see how I can better myself in different ways here and there. Um, so I went out to dinner last night with a guy, and we had a wonderful time. He was very interested in what I was talking about. He wanted to spend more time with me, and I decided that, not decided so much as the physiology of my body was going sort of haywire because I was ovulating that day. And of course, I wanted very badly just to be comforted physically. And everybody wants those surges of dopamine and serotonin so that they can, that oxytocin, it'll make, it soothes you. It's that happy hormone. And so I went on this date. We had a lovely time. We went to a decent restaurant here, and I wore a dress and leggings and heels and stuff. And we managed to go back to his hotel. And of course, I was having a great time talking with him and his personality, and we were having a wonderful time. And I told him, I said, well, I feel like I want to cuddle you. So, of course, we started cuddling, and one thing led to another. And I am so shameful today just for that, but also I need to realize that it's natural for me and the trauma that I've sustained throughout my life and childhood. So I'm always seeking comfort in the man in a man's arms, seeking that I was not given properly throughout my life, which is unconditional love, which I know men aren't capable of after this extent, after interacting with so many people and after interacting with certain individuals that are in authoritative positions. I had someone that was very high up that took me to lunch a couple days ago, and I didn't even recognize that those types of people use dating apps. Those types of people in like government positions and things like that. So I always feel terrible when I act on my primal instincts and I just want to self-soothe. And sometimes I use people or utilize what's in front of me or around me so that I can satiate whatever craving I have to be happy. So, and that isn't necessarily a good thing. That's when your conscience eats away at you afterward and you realize, oh, I could have held off. I could have refrained. Something bad might have happened, or, if something bad did not happen, for the next time that when you have certain encounters, that it's going to lead it into a certain after effect, a certain resulting behavior, resulting consequence. So I have had a lot of interesting encounters with people through online dating, and generally a lot of them are, well, there's a lot of nice guys out there, I'm not gonna lie, but a lot of them are seeking physical comfort, whereas I'm seeking emotional comfort. And so when I get irritated, a lot of people don't see that I just walk away. I completely detach from individuals. I don't even get involved. I don't try. I'm not attention seeking in that way. I'm not desperate. And If they don't want to spend time with me, somebody else will want to spend time with me. And it's just one of those situations. I don't feel all that great today, though. I mean, my conscience is eating away at me because having unprotected sex is never good. Never good. That's how I ended up contracting the HPV from that dude. So it's always a forewarning to people. I feel like my life is sort of one of those, and I know that my daughter's not going to see these until later on in her life, so it doesn't matter how old she is. After a certain point, children should be exposed to the sexual aspect of their psychology and the physiology of the body, the way that biology works. So I'm beating myself up today because I'm like, well, and everybody's like, you go, girl, it's good, you need to get it out sometimes, and dudes do it all the time, and it's normal. And it is normal to feel that urge, but I feel better when I refrain from it, and then I don't care if the man gets angry or whatever and calls me a flirt and calls me a bitch for not putting out. But I had a really great evening. It was nothing like that, and he had a nice hotel here, and I spent the evening with him. And by morning we walked out together and pecked each other on the lips, and that was about it. And I feel so strange being 34 years old, and I remember watching Sex in the City when I was a kid growing up and wanting to be one of those women that can manage to get everything that she desires through the narrow-mindedness of men, their simplicity in wanting this to satisfy their sexual urges at all times. So I wanted to utilize my sexuality and build upon it so that it's like, so people can realize, like, it's okay that we make mistakes here and there. Back in the day, if I would have stepped out of line like this, I would have been burned at the stake, of course, because that's a witch right there, somebody that's going against social constructs and social protocol. So I have had a lovely time dating as an adult. I mean, I'm not trying to say that it's all entirely bad, but in my perspective, it is bad because I'm traumatized. So I will always have that urge to want to hate myself and cut myself, or want to commit suicide after I do one of these so-called heinous acts of sinning against my body and God. So I try to put it in this perspective for people so that they can recognize too that it is okay. It's okay when you falter. It's okay to make mistakes here and there, as long as you are trying day by day to correct those issues. So my lustfulness that I used to have, and bouts of like masturbation, incessant masturbation throughout the day because I had nothing really else to do aside from trying to satiate my cravings for, like, alleviating the stress at any cost. And actually I've done it a lot in a healthier way than most people. They go to drugs and fornication and all these other things, all these other aspects. I'm trying to do things in a healthy way, and I know that unprotected sex is not one of them. So I'm just mortified that I fell into my own trap again of wanting to seek that comfort, wanting to self-soothe. So without making this a rant video, because actually I'm in a good mood, because that's how it works. You get the oxytocin that you need, and so I get plenty of people that offer me their attention, but I'm sitting in that realm of like, why? And why with that gentleman? And why certain aspects of things? And why am I so strange that I say certain things that draw out my own lack of wanting to pursue anything, my own procrastination in doing things, or procrastinating in trying to communicate with another individual. I just sort of step back. But that also is a sort of, let's say, a detachment disorder, or what is it called? I know this. I've been researching a lot of my diagnoses for years so that I understood my own issues and I could relay them in words and terms that other people understood. Now, I was speaking to someone through online dating a little while ago, and I had put the word vagabond on my profile, on my dating profile. And he was like, oh, well, I didn't know what that was. And I was like, okay. And I said, normally I just presume people are going to check the definitions of words so that they can understand them. People don't like that. But then when you try to tell them the definition as well, they don't seem to like that. They don't want to engage with certain aspects of common sense. So you put the word vagabond on something, you think you're going to research that or whatever. And we had an irritating time. I just got off the phone with him a little while ago, and I was like yelling at him like, I don't even want to meet you after a certain extent because you're stressing me out, because you're so ignorant that you can't even look up the definitions to the words that I use. And he told me, well, I don't like to look up definitions. I usually just like to ask the person what their definition of the word is. Excuse me, what? That's where you get all these miscommunications, misunderstandings, misinterpretations of words. And then all of a sudden, everybody's misconstruing all of everything. And no one understands a single aspect of phrasing or actual true appropriated English. So, and I thought that's what we were speaking here in the United States of America. So, anyway, yeah, I'm still in Hot Springs, Arkansas today. I was in Benton a couple days ago. I worked out, did a full body workout yesterday, where I hit all my muscle groups and worked out for a few hours, just different areas, and danced in between my sets. And then today I haven't done anything. I'm just sort of like recouping from the day and recouping from any kind of emotional strains of having had intimacy with someone that I barely knew. Like, it was the first time meeting this dude, and I just went ahead with it because I enjoyed his company and everything, and I was all for it. He was all for it, and that's normally how it is. But then we also have to realize that we're not animals. We're cognizant beings, and we should refrain from certain things when thinking about the consequences. So, of course, I realize, like, there's always a chance you could get pregnant. It's pretty doubtful at this point, because after the age of in mid-30s or so, you start becoming less fertile, So I'm hopeful that nothing ends up happening from that, but I actually don't take any birth control at this time because it'll mess with your hormones, which in turn messes with the chemistry in your brain. And I realized that had a lot to do also with the way that I was acting out, overly acting out throughout my life. So I suggest birth control, to a lot of people. I just say like, oh, well, maybe you should get on this and that. But that's their own personal preference. If your chemistry in your body is handling it well and you're not having mood swings all crazy like I was and, all this and that, then by all means go for it. I'm not trying to say that. And then even with some pharmaceuticals, I rant about how pharmaceuticals are bad. And they are, essentially, because that's just your body not being able to produce those chemicals that are needed naturally for it to survive and function on. But if you need pharmaceuticals in order to sustain your body, then that's what's best for you. That's what the doctor prescribes. That's what's best. I am no doctor. I have no PhD. I wish I did at this point. 34 years old, you'd think that after a certain extent, I would have been offered the same amount that other people were offered so that I could finish up my education and become something of myself so I could plug into whatever system they want me to plug into. But I don't really believe in money. I don't really believe in that. I believe in the bartering system, so that's how I see everything. So if people ask me about this and that, I tell them, well, it is a bartering system. So, and I tell people too about like manufacturers and how they guarantee their products. A majority of them guarantee their products. And so that's when I just tell them certain complaints about it, or I return the product to the store, because even if it's been used, even if it's been worn, because if I am not happy with the product, if there's something wrong with it, you guaranteed that I would be happy with it. So you can't guarantee that everyone is going to be happy, especially everywhere in the world. So if we're able to maintain ourselves through certain, like I use coupons and I use, different clearance. I purchase things on clearance and whatever. But even those little dollars that I spend, that all adds up. And if I'm only worth so much to the system, then how am I expected to purchase the things that are essential to me, like a vehicle, like a home, and people say that's not essential. Well, in this day and age, it kind of is essential, because you've seen the stories where people are like, well, I couldn't get to work today because I had to, walk 10 miles and yada, yada, whatever. So you're going to force people to kill themselves, suffer more and more and more to get after what? Like, that's what to go after what? To pursue what? Money? Monetary gain? That you can pass off to your offspring after stressing yourself out and even having those offspring. So, research shows that people with children tend to be more stressed out because they have to supply for those children, and they're not necessarily happier people. They actually have more stresses than people that don't have children. So I do a lot of looking up different research studies and just different aspects of the world around me, and just delving into things a little bit further beyond that, differences in language and things like that. I'd like to learn a little bit about everything. I think that everybody should have the capability of picking up whatever hobbies they would like to do, and philosophy is one of mine. I believe in certain things and other people do not, and I think that there are some aspects of their reality that they're kind of messed up on. How can someone go around preaching certain things if they're being hypocrites and not doing it themselves? So that's why I'm making this video, because I tell people you should abstain, you should try everything you can not to be procreating or, fornicating, this and that. And then I did it. And it's like, oh, well, shame on me. Shame on that. But at the same instance, I'm an adult and I needed some comfort in that way. And I know better than to do it again. I know better than to go off and have it with a bunch of random people and this and that. So, I'm just fortunate that I've made it this far without making too many mistakes and having contracted something that was, going to give me irreparable damage throughout. I mean, yeah, the HPV, obviously, I'm going to end up with cervical cancer more than likely. But that was my own fault. And I had to realize that if I wasn't being taught at home properly, that's where everything had transpired into me being more promiscuous at times, because my mother kept telling me, you just need a good man, you need a good boyfriend. When I lived with her a couple of years ago, that's all she ever harped about, was just me getting out of her hair by getting into somebody else's bed. And I was like, what are you even talking about? How can I even make sense of this? How can I be an appropriate lady that everybody tells me I should be, but everybody's a hypocrite and everybody's giving me terrible advice and people are telling me to go get laid. And I don't want to go get laid. I want to have a relationship. I want to have somebody that's going to be there at the end of the day and want to talk to me. And so a lot of times, yeah, I'll use people in that way to comfort myself physically, but I end up regretting it. And I don't think they ever, of course they don't regret it, obviously. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, I shouldn't be doing things with strangers like that. People tell me you're going to get in trouble, you're going to get hurt. And I'm saying, oh, well, leave it to God. If God exists, then he'll lead me on my righteous path of either destroying the world or being beneficial to it, you know? But then I just joke around about it because I'm like, I really want to be helpful for the world, but I cannot be a hypocrite. I can't. So I have to brush my teeth every day. Last night I didn't get to do that because I was busy fornicating. What? No, I should have been taking care of my temple, which in a sense it kind of was, but in this another sense, I'm very sore today. Like, it sounds terrible. It sounds so bad. I can't even, so true. But, you know, there's always the give and take of everything. And, boy, oh boy, this is embarrassing. I don't like to express myself in this way, but I feel like people need to have somebody to listen to, and it's like, oh, I've been there, I've done that. And also I feel the same way, and I was taught this too, and why is this so contradictory, and everything has, opposites in this. Well, there's a duality in everything. So like I stated, like I may never speak to that man again. But at the same instance, it's not like I didn't have an enjoyable evening, and I really, you can't exchange that. You can't exchange like, okay, yeah, well, I got dinner and he, no, it wasn't even like that. It was, I guess, maybe, who knows? Who knows? Maybe he was just so good at what he did that, it just seemed like it was natural. And they are good at that. Men are very, very good at playing the field in that way, where they'll be like, oh, no, I never do this. This is something I don't really do. But then afterwards, if they don't end up calling you, yeah, that's definitely something that they normally do. So, and then you realize after the fact. And I just sort of sit back and laugh, and I think, like, it doesn't really matter to me. Like, my feelings don't get hurt all that much anymore, because I realize now that I'm just utilizing the world around me. I don't have a boyfriend at this time, and that guy seemed okay. Why not? So, and that's how it is when people are going through their mental distortions. I've been having depression and all these mood fluctuations. You would think that the psychologist/therapist that I've been seeing for nearly 2 years, come January, would have contacted me by now after not having seen him for a month and a half approximately. But he hasn't reached out. And the funny thing is that I saw him walking in and out of the YMCA the other day. And I just don't understand. If that's your job, to help your clients, to be a therapist, to be there for those individuals, you would think that you would check on them, the ones that suffer from severe depression, the ones that suffer from suicidal ideations. And you've seen some of the therapy sessions that we had together. A majority of the time we would just talk about other things and not my psychosis. Not the things that were really pertaining. And that's what happens in therapy. People will go, they'll chit-chat about the weather, and then by the time an hour's up, you didn't even get to discuss any of your actual ailments. So, and I realize that, I'm really easy to talk to, and I don't cut people off, and I try to let them finish whatever thought process they have going on, and I try to be respectful to them in that way. But now I just need to push through and make my point get known. Because, I need to notify people of some of the aspects of my reality. That I could have avoided this, what is the word? It's abnormal for me to have casual and unprotected sex like that. It's out of the norm for me. Because when I'm going through my bouts of psychosis, I just don't care. Whatever's going on, I just don't care. Let's do it. I'm down. But that's what people do with drug addiction and all this and that. Well, I have different types of addictions, and people are like, that's not an addiction. That's completely, it is. It's a primal instinct, but we also need to engage in the fact that we don't necessarily need every moment to be satiated, every urge to be satiated. So yeah, you would think that I could have, there could be help for someone like me, but there really is no help for people like me. They say I'm too smart for this, and since I know better, then I should this. Well, everybody, even those authoritative figures, they have bouts of psychosis here and there where they just are like, oh, I'm not going to brush my teeth today. I'm going to go and smoke this cigarette. I'm going to go drink. I'm going to go hurt myself in my temple in such a way, And I realized that, or I'm going to eat these processed foods or these refined sugars and yada, yada, yada. I'm just going to go with the flow because whatever. And I wish I could refrain from eating processed sugars like that as well. Those refined sugars that cause you to have a lot of different addictions toward that. And I had to research a lot of the things that I was consuming, because that's all I am at this level, is a consumer. And I had to recognize that I'm on that lower plane, that lower caste system of the consumer lifestyle. And I've been trying to alter all of my bad habits with positive ones. And the use of the system has been interesting because, like, I will use a product. If I don't like it, I'll go and I'll return it. There have been instances where I've gotten told that, oh, yada, yada, you can't return this item. And I was like, no, I'm going to let the corporate office know that you're rejecting my request. And that's just how it should be. You should understand that your products have a guarantee, regardless, even if I use the entire product. Maybe I had to use it to the very end to let you know that I hate it and I will never purchase it again. And it was not useful to me in the slightest. So, but yeah, people think that I'm crazy for having to speak up about this and that and whatever. And I'm just thinking, if I'm a consumer, I have a choice. I have a choice in everything, in every aspect that I do. So, and I know my topics go off kilter here and there. I discuss a lot of different things because I have a lot of different things on my mind all the time. And it's just frustrating. It's not always about one thing or another. It's about a million different things all at once. And apparently I have a photographic memory too, so I keep track of everything here and there, and then I want to discuss it with someone, anyone. And since I haven't discussed anything with my therapist in the last God knows how long, and I hope to God he hasn't been charging my insurance, because that would be illegal. But, you never know. You never know, especially down here in the South. I went to one of their facilities here. It was a mental behavioral health clinic, where a therapist office, and they were inevitably shut down for Medicaid fraud. And that's where I can't even rationalize how incompetent the entire system is, because I can't get help, this help that I've been seeking since I was 12 years old. So then therein lies the problems, and I haven't been able to fix these ailments because I was forced to be around people, and they were like, you weren't forced. And I say, well, I was forced. You told me, a lot of therapists told me I had to get along with my family, and I don't want to get along with people that are truly insane, that should be diagnosed and shoved in psych wards for having ailments like alcoholism and having ailments like narcissism and egotism that stems toward sociopathic tendencies. So I just feel like there are so many things out there that we need to recognize, we need to research, we need to utilize all of this information that's being given to us freely through the internet and through YouTube and all this and that. There's so many credible websites out there that will give you the information that you need if you just research and look. But a majority of people just take things for face value. And so they'll take one picture of me and they'll think, oh, well, she must look like that all the time, or she, oh, this and that. You don't know a person unless you're around them 24/7. And no one should really have to be around another person for 24/7. We should have our privacy at some instances. But then when you realize too, the electronics don't give you any privacy because there's access to the cameras and yada yada. And then they say, well, you shouldn't have any problems if you're not doing anything wrong. I shouldn't. But then also too, you're accessing me in my most private moments, and that's when I started flipping out, because I realized that even in my home, I wasn't actually alone. That even when I was nude and everything, that if I had my camera out, that it could potentially be accessed by someone in a different country even. So, and that's what they tell us, to be forewarned of people that are trying to hack into our phones and hack into our information and steal our identities and whatever. And I'm thinking, good for them. Let them do it, because everybody knows who knows me loves me personally. Like, my one girlfriend wants to hang out this weekend, and I've missed hanging out with her because I enjoyed her company, but she had a baby. So I was like, she's busy with her baby, and I didn't want to be like a disruption in her life. And I always have different depressing things to discuss, as well as all the happy moments. There's so many equal amounts of depressing moments for me. So I realize there has to be an equilibrium throughout life. There has to be a balance. And I think to myself, well, I can't sit here and argue these facts with people. I have to get about my day, go about my day. And but anyway, so yeah, that's what's been going on. And I just don't really want to make a very long video today because I'm not in that entirely depressed mood. I'm probably still going to go try to work out right now, just to keep myself moving and keep my mind going, or maybe do some more research, studying on different things. But since I'm a disabled citizen and I have nothing else better to do with my life, I just sit around in my car and I chill here and there and just try to be avoidant of other human contact and just live as obscurely as possible, and to also gradually express myself as transparently as possible. People apparently admire that about me, that I am so transparent, and I'll just tell them, hey, I'm not having a good day. Like, I can't function. I can't think about you right now. I've got to think about myself and not hurting myself by the end of the day, But anyway, I have mixed emotions from everything, and I'm hopeful that everything goes well with certain aspects of my psychosis right now, because I know I'm not going to sit around and go and jump in everybody's bed. Like, it's not like that. It was my day of ovulation. I was overly affectionate, and that cuddling released that oxytocin, and I'm not necessarily a slut, but that is slutty things to do. If a man can do it and go around and he's not considered anything but just a man doing what average men do, then it should be the same for a woman doing what women need to do too, and they got to release their frustration on someone else through that. But people call me crazy. Okay, whatevs. Like I tell them, whatevs. We'll see how you are doing every day, and this and this and this. Let me pinpoint what your activities are throughout the day and how you manage your time, and this and this and this, and how your years have progressed and what you've done in your life. And let me add that up, and let me just jot these down. Here's your prescription to crazy, because a majority of everyone's got some crazy in them. All the best people are crazy. It's true. And I love Melanie Martinez. Her songs are wonderful. Like, I absolutely adore her. And like, just the things that she promotes in that, the fact that Mrs. Potato Head, I sing that song a lot, and it's just like, yeah, pain is beauty. Will a new face, wait, yeah, I sing it to myself all the time, but I don't want to like take anybody else's words, but it's just poetic in her sense of being able to relay that and just her image is wonderful. But yeah, and I like everybody in a certain way. There's always something to like and dislike about someone. You know, there, you have to understand that. If you persistently just dislike people, then there's something wrong with that. But if you and then persistently just like people without having any kind of judgment towards their faults or anything, well, then I'm not sure. That's not really, that's interesting. That's a bout of psychosis within yourself, because you should have your own way of balancing out right and wrong in that aspect. But everything is life is interesting. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. And I mean, I've had a lovely last few days though, keeping myself going, and I did some impulse shopping, and I did buy some clearance items here and there that, yeah, I'm not too sure I had the finances for, but I'm sure if God wants me to progress or persist in this existence, in this plane, in this reality, then I guess everything happens for its reasons, and I should just go with the flow. And I wasn't feeling it yesterday, today, recently, since my daughter's birthday especially. And then of course the holidays are coming up, and that's statistically it's proven that there are more suicides around the holidays as opposed to any other time throughout the year. And by holidays, I mean the fundamental Christmas and Thanksgiving style family get-togethers. Because when people recognize that they have no family and no friends that are continually by their side or there to greet them or communicate in any way, that's when they end up most self-defeating, you know, or continue on, persist in those self-defeating behaviors. Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. There's stuff going on outside the car, and I get distracted here and there, so please don't mind me. I'm just all over the place sometimes. I think that it was interesting that I had a certain interaction this week with someone that was of such importance. But I also recognize that it was a stepping stone toward my own goals, stepping stone toward my own promoting my own self-image, of wanting people to recognize it's okay that we've messed up. It's okay that we've said some things, but it's not okay to not apologize for those things and to try to make amends for the mistakes that we have done. So for me, everything like within karma and all that, when I had lost everything, I realized it was because I had taken too much. And most people don't realize that I had suffered from bouts of klepticism at random times in my life, when I just wanted to take things that didn't belong to me, usually from stores without cameras. And I would offer those things to other people, which is the oddest thing. Like, it's like Robin Hood stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. I had that sort of mentality of thinking that that was okay, but then it came back around on me, and I lost everything, and I realized, well, you can't live your life taking from others. And then I had to rationalize what capitalism was like. And I thought, wow, they're stealing from my sanity every single day that I go to work, and no one tends to my emotional or psychological needs at the end of the day. And that's when I realized that being on disability, and at least that allotment, gave me insurance to where I could go and seek therapy without having the repercussion of a huge bill afterward. So it's been very beneficial for me to just be on disability for this time. And everybody tells me, oh, you should get a job. Well, you should, for real. Don't tell people what they should and shouldn't do, when in actuality you can't even tend to certain things in your own life. Please look in the mirror before you go around shoving things down other people's throats. And people used to tell me that too. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. I was being a hypocrite. I was all overweight trying to tell people how to live their lives. And I was all this and that. And I was all doing all this and that. And I was eating all this and that. And I was smoking all this and that. And now my medicinal marijuana is technically legal for people with post-traumatic stress here in Arkansas. So it's my only medicine. So if you're going to tell me that I'm a criminal for doing things when the only thing I do is eat too much sweets, sometimes I don't brush my teeth before bed because I'm too depressed. I try to work out now all the freaking time. So like that's not even like the fact that I had gained all the weight from not doing it. There you go. So, and then also fornicating randomly, which is not that healthy for anybody. So I know what my little things are. And I'm so anal retentive about things. I don't understand it. It's some sort of obsessive compulsive disorder, I swear, because I'm so tidy and so cleanly and have to sanitize things so often that I've always been sort of like that my entire life. And I realized that it was because of the trauma I sustained as a child, or at least was taught about certain things as a child, and it held on until into my adulthood. So I do refrain from a lot of toxic behaviors and toxic environments. I don't go to bars. I don't go to crazy locations where there might be random nefarious acts or nefarious gatherings going on. So I just try to, I'm very avoidant. I have an avoidant behavior disorder at this time. And I don't know if that might subside after some time of socializing more with people that are actually credible and stand by their word and have integrity. And honestly, I need to start reading more again. Sit down and start reading my books or different books and things to weigh on differences in vocabulary, because I enjoy that. I've got to go. I just got a text message and I want to get that. So anyway, I hope you guys have a good night. And today is November 12th, 2021. And my name is Leticia Collins, just discussing my day. I'm actually Leticia Servin, but Collins is my married name, and I didn't have the money to switch it back over to my maiden name because my ex-husband left me for dead and left me with a $10 wedding ring and 2 loaded guns. And that's how my life has played out so far. I'm trying so hard to just be positive throughout it, and a lot of it is just not that fun. I mean, I make it out to be like I'm doing well, but psychologically it's very painful to know that everyone in my life has used and abused me in some form or another. And I had to recognize that through the therapy, and that's when I stepped back and I thought, I'm not dealing with anybody. If I can't deal with my own emotions towards my past, then there's no reason in making a future, you know? But we should all look toward the future. I never want anybody to be like, oh yeah, it's better off, you should die. No, I mean, for real, like, find something that makes you happy every day a little bit, but in a positive way. Positive coping behaviors, like going for a walk, or reading a book, or taking a bath and cleaning up, or cleaning up your dishes, or cleaning up your furniture or underneath things, or, reorganizing stuff. I feel like once you get your mind going and you do these little things to help tend to yourself, your body, then your personal space, you'll be a lot better off. I'm caught cleaning my car all the time, and people probably think like, what kind of weird girl is this? Like, anyway, whatever. I love you guys. I said earlier, I was like, I hate people. I hate everyone. But in actuality, we all have a love and hate with everybody. I love people and hate them. Majority of the time, I just tell them I love you. I love you so much. And I do. I love every individual person as a human being. If they step over my boundaries, that's when the hate comes in. That's when, if they start talking, I was at lunch. Someone took me to lunch yesterday, ladies from the Y. And one of the ladies started discussing some really racial things toward an Oriental. like about Oriental cooking and not knowing the differences within the different cultures, the Vietnamese and Japanese and Chinese, but then lumping them all together. And I thought, oh my God, do you not realize how distasteful that is? And for foreigners to have to hear that, because that's not even taking the moment to recognize where they're coming from and them as an individual or as a human being or them as a person. And I was just mortified for her, because from seeing it from that perspective, I'm like, you are so Southern that, wow, that was so rude. And anyway, I sometimes I want to stick up for it, and I want to be like, but then I'm just like, whoa, train wreck over here. I wish I had some of this stuff on video. Wow, I wish I had some of my reality on video. The interactions themselves. Oh, anyway, have a blessed day. And by blessed, I mean, like, I hope you have a positive day. I know negatives are going to happen, but negatives can sometimes be turned into a positive. Regardless, I mean, even somebody passing can be turned into a positive because their energy is no longer in pain, or their energy is shifted into a different dimension. And people don't believe me, though. They're like, how could you? I don't know. Like I said, died and come back so many times. I just don't know. That's why I'm so easygoing. I just know that I'm all right. I'm doing good. And I do that because I'm just like, that's my way of, like, those tics that I have and I've always sort of had, in order to guard myself and my temple. So, like, that through the Christian aspect of it. But I believe in all religions. I believe that everybody has something to give us, and that we all are actually connected in the greater consciousness, which is God. So whatever everyone perceives, like, that's whatever their terms are for this, I call that God. Our interconnectedness, our being, everybody connected, everything. That's what God is to me. And not some man sitting on a fucking cloud dictating our lives and telling us this and this and this. I don't know. It's a different form. I'll be able to express it a little bit better one of these days. But anyway, I love everybody, but I also hate everybody just a little bit. I love you a little, but I hate you a little. I love you a lot, but I hate you a little. Just for existing. Just playing. I'm just playing. People take me too seriously all the time, and they also think that I'm being aggressive with my tone. You have not even fucking seen aggressive. You want to see Leticia aggressive? Let me fucking show you. Yeah, people are like, you're crazy. No, bitch, you don't get me. You don't hear me, and you're not taking the fact that my voice is a certain way. And this is me being condescending and angry. So anyway, have a great night, everybody. November 12th, 2021. Bye-bye.